So welcome to episode 2 in this ongoing series where we are learning Flow together. We are building a mobile app in this series, and in this particular video we're going to have a look at that particular application by way of a demo, and then we're going to also then look at the starter project. This is the kind of the starting point for this particular series, which you will need to clone into Flow to get yourself up and running. And also as well, we're going to have a quick look at the additional tools that we're going to use in order to help us build our application. So without further ado, let's get into the video and let's get cracking. Okay then, so before we get started in the construction of our application, let me give you a walkthrough of the application running within inside the iOS local simulator, which is running on my Mac. Now, of course, I could be running this on a device if I wanted to, but of course I'm screen recording here, so I want to display it to you inside the simulator. So here I have the application that's got 4 goals in there. Now, of course, each goal can have many tasks associated with it. And you can see on screen at the moment, these goals have these little colored indicators here. We kind of got like an amber to represent that it's a goal that's currently in progress. We've got a progress indicator as well, which is very much reflecting on the number of tasks that we have completed for this particular sort of goal. Now I'll show you those in just a second. And this is represented also as well by these little indicators here. So I can just click on one of these particular goals. Here are ones that I've already got completed. I can just take these off here like that, go back. And of course, the page has now been updated to reflect that we've kind of got three tasks with only 1 completed. And of course, you've got the little progress indicator there as well. Now, this particular application has all of the usual type of features that you would have. So I'm just going to hold down the left mouse button here. And of course, I can update a goal. I can set different kind of statuses here. I can archive that particular goal. What I can also do as well is I can create a brand new task. So very, very simple. We're just showing some simple sort of text fields here to create the task itself. And of course, we can then, as I said before, click on each of these and we can then add additional tasks to each of these particular goals. And of course, I can then just come along here and I can complete those. And you'll also notice as well, as I kind of transition between each kind of pages here, we've got a nice little animation that kind of plays out independently on each of the tasks. And the same thing here as well. And I'll show you in this particular series how to introduce a nice subtle animation that works nicely in this type of application using some of the more newer features of Flow that weren't there previously. And one thing this application also supports is the ability to view the archived goals. So I can press on the little filter here, got this little option that pops up and I can just choose show archive, click away. And of course, I'm just showing one of the particular goals that I archived previously. So I'm just going to clear that off here. And it also supports light and dark mode. I'm just going to hit this little icon up here. And of course, I can now switch between the different kind of sort of themes that I have within inside the application. So that is the application in a nutshell. Hope that kind of gets your kind of juices flow into the kind of use cases in building these type of applications, because not everybody wants internet connected applications. It might be something that you are looking to build for a personal project, for something you can run on your local device. Of course, you can also build these type of applications which you can successfully deploy into the Play and the App Stores for monetizing and obviously making some revenue as well. So the great thing about this particular series is I'm just going to walk you through step by step in creating this type of application, and you'll then be able to take your skills and what you would learn in this particular series and you'll be able to apply that into your own projects. So without further ado, let's get into the video a little bit more and we'll start then now building out this particular application. Okay, so this is our starter project. I wanted to kind of create a starter project as a means to get ourselves up and running. Now, there's nothing special about this particular starter project. It doesn't really contain anything. We're going to build everything from scratch. But there's a couple of little bits that I just wanted to draw attention to, just so you are aware that they exist. So when you click on the link in the description, it'll take you into Flow, and there'll be an option up in the top right-hand corner to clone the project. So just click on clone, and this is what you'll be presented with. Let's now talk through some of the characteristics of this particular project. So on the left hand side here, you can see I've got my kind of pages folder, which contains 2 pages. The home page is going to contain the goals. The task page is going to contain the tasks for those particular goals. Now, what I like to do is I also like to separate pages with components. So what we're going to do is I've created a components folder, and I've got a kind of another little subfolder here. So what we'll do is as we start creating components, I'll be putting those in that particular folder. And of course, we won't be adding any more pages other than what we have in this particular base project. So what I like to do, and good practice is for me, is I like to kind of separate pages to components just so I can kind of expand and collapse the areas that I'm working on with inside my Flutterflow project. So that's that. Each of these pages contain no widgets at all, so we haven't built and constructed any of the user interface elements yet. We're going to walk through that bit by bit through this particular series. Now, just a couple other bits to point out here. If I click on the little palette down here, this takes us into the theme settings, and you can see here, this is our color schemes for both light mode and dark mode. What I've done is I've pre-set up the colors that I'm going to use in this particular application. Of course, if you are building your own project, you're going to be doing this in a very, very similar way. Just going to point out a couple of little differences here. So here's my primary color here, which is kind of like this very kind of light, kind of more what I've got teal color, I guess, in terms of what we kind of got here. And then here, the important sort of colors to point out is our primary text and our secondary text here. So of course, this is the light mode theme. So of course, our sort of more high contrast on our white is going to be black there for our text. A nice kind of more bold kind of colors is going to be there for our primary text. The secondary text is going to be more like the body text. It's a little bit more subtle. So I've just kind of made that a gray. And of course, my primary background and secondary background are pretty well much kind of a white here for my secondary background, and it's like an off-white for my primary background. And you'll kind of see how that plays out in as the series kind of progresses. Now, similar to that, of course, if you pop down here into the dark mode here, you can see here that, of course, we're on dark here. So my primary text is going to be a very, very strong white color. And of course, secondary text, we can kind of go a little bit more subtle on that as well, on that particular kind of sort of dark mode theme. And of course, primary and secondary, again, just has these slight variation in the colors to support that particular theme. So that's pretty well much it. I don't really need to talk too much about colors, but you'll see how they play out through the application. But of course, feel free to customize these however you would like. But that's what we're going to go with in this particular series. Now, what I've also got here is I go to theme widgets. Now, I've already created some styles for some theme widgets, and really this is just more for me to talk you through how this sort of plays out as we build the application. But what I've done is I've got a couple of text fields here which have kind of already got some preset styles, and we can apply those to the widgets when we drag on. It's really just more of a time saver thing, but I'll talk through some of the key characteristics and styles of those particular form elements when we get to those in the actual series itself. And here, just for good measure, I've kind of just created this kind of this sort of container primary style, which is a little bit like a bit of a shadow with just some various sort of style characteristics sort of set up. So again, I'll cover that as we move more through the series, but there's nothing more really to do here. We'll create some theme style widgets as we progress, so you can see kind of how you kind of create these, and you can apply these styles to other widgets to try and give you that consistency with inside your user interface. So that is pretty well much it. There's nothing more really to tell you about this particular project. So make sure you've got this cloned, make sure you're ready to go, and then we'll move on and we'll then start building out this application very, very soon. Okay, so let's talk about the tools that we're going to need in this particular series. Now, firstly, you are going to need your Flutterflow account to be set up, but most important, you are going to need to have a paid plan with Flutterflow, or at the very least have your trial activated, ready to go. And then you're going to be able to enjoy all the benefits of Flutterflow, the extra features of Flutterflow, but most importantly, you're going to be able to download Flutterflow at desktop, and you're going to be able to run your projects either in a simulator on your local machine, or you can connect a physical device. Now that's going to give you as close as you possibly can to running your application on a mobile device. So I can't stress how important Flutterflow Local Run is to your experiences with Flutterflow. It's one of the most powerful features that were introduced from Flutterflow in 2024. So next up, we're going to need another tool, and this is going to be super important because this is DB Browser for SQLite. Now we're only going to use this very quickly in this particular series, and what this is going to allow us to do is create a database file with all of the tables that we're going to need in order to then provide a file that we're then going to upload into our Flutterflow mobile application. And once we've got that in there, of course, we can then start turning our application to a bit more dynamic. We can actually then start persisting data and querying data with inside our mobile application itself. So we're going to touch on that very, very shortly in this particular series. We're going to get that ready to upload to our Flutterflow application. So there are the tools. There's not a lot to it. Most of our time is going to be spent in Flutterflow. So let's now move on to the next video.